All right. Hello to everybody today. I'm very excited to introduce you to the branding queen, I'll call her. She's absolutely fabulous, super colorful, wildly passionate about marketing and branding, and has a very unique way of doing that for businesses and business owners. So, welcome, Jessica Ritchie.
Thank you so much, Dee. I'm so pleased we've been able to align the universe and finally get to have this conversation with you.
It's
And
been
your
so fun
amazing.
because we've been so busy back and forth and trying to lock each other down. So I'm so appreciative of your time today and that you stepped up this year to be part of our 2021 Raw Judges panel. You gave so much time and energy into the judging process and giving feedback and being really attentive. So I really appreciate you volunteering your time in such a busy time in history, I'm going to say, even though we're still living in it, it feels like history.
Yes, you're most welcome. It was an absolute privilege and honor and so humbling to, I guess, lift up the hood and peer into these amazing businesses. It was incredible. So Saturday night or Saturday for the awards is going to be super exciting.
Yes, it's all happening behind the scenes, and I'm a bit sad that we can't have our event in person and all be together this year, but we are doing our best behind the scenes to make it lots of fun. You were one of our winners last year in the Raw Awards, so you have had sort of the both perspectives, I guess, of being a winner chicken dinner, and also now being a judge. But for those who don't know about you, Jess, and might be introduced to you for the very first time today, I would love for you to do a little bit of an intro on what you do and who you are.
Sure thing. So, welcome everyone. I'm Jess Ritchie, and for the last 15 years, I've had the absolute privilege of creating some of Australia's leading and most recognised brands. So, some of those, or hopefully you've heard of them now that I've said that, is Golden Circle, Tony Ferguson Weight Loss, Super Cheap Auto, BCF, Raise Outdoors, Gold Cross Cycles, working for Tourism and Events Queensland, and then also consulting to the likes of Gloriously Free Oats Australia, Eastern Well, Veria, and hundreds of small medium businesses. So what I say is I'm a transformational brand specialist, and what I do is I create transformational personal brands as well as business brands. And I do that through strategic marketing and personal energy management. So, what makes me a bit different to other marketers is that I'm also a Reiki master, a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, and a certified life and business coach. So what I've found that's enabled me to really extract the unique energy and essence of a person and brand. And I then amplify that in their marketing, their branding, and also within their communications. Because what I was finding, like for me, there's more than 1,000,001 marketers in the world, but there's only one Jess Ritchie. And so to help clear that clutter, everyone's in that same sort of boat. We're all doing something that someone else is doing or trying to do. So it's just noisy and really cluttered markets and industry. So you are your superpower, that energy and essence that only you have. And so that's what I help do. Just unpiece and unlayer all of the elements of you. Generally, we do that first. So we really work from a personal perspective. And then once you're really clear on who you are, so your identity, like getting that strong sense of self back. And I've found that that's been imperative with the last few years that we've experienced through this unprecedented change. So it's going, well, who am I? Because what I found was, particularly, I work with high performing women or emerging female leaders in particular. Having come from extremely male dominated environment, I absolutely love working with women and really, I guess, understanding what it's like juggling all the balls that we juggle as partners, as business owners or employees, and being a mother, a lot of, or a carer, where we're just so many things to so many people. And so it's really important to put yourself first and make yourself a priority. And that's, at the moment, that is what we need to do. And so to create that transformation, it's having that strong sense of self. It's having that high self-esteem and knowing your worth, really charging for your experience and everything that you've achieved, and believing in that. It's stepping into your personal power through getting that clarity of knowing your vision. Like, what is it that I want? And it's also the why. And we hear so many people talk about why they're doing it. And for many years, I used to say my kids and my family, because that's what everyone else would say. And it's only recently I'm like, I've got to be completely honest with myself. I'm not doing it for my family. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for my sense of self, to fulfill my potential, to see how far I can go, to have a legacy creation life of no regret living. And I think as women, we quite often automatically kind of do things for other people to make their lives better. And we do forget about ourselves. And if we're not in our business doing it for us, if it's not making us thrive as well, then we really have to just take a step back and see what we can do to sort of fill ourselves up and go, what is in this for me? And what is driving me?
That is such
really
an honest way to put it. I have to say, Jess, I'm so glad you said it, because there's so many people that layer up these excuses and cover their why, their true why, with all the other things that actually aren't really internally why people are doing what they're doing. And, I think sometimes you're right. We have this kind of, the imposter syndrome creeps in, or we have this self-doubt about owning what we want to do and being really proud about, I'm chasing the dollars, I'm chasing the, the high profile. I want to be a TED Talk expert. I want to be like on the cover of Vogue magazine, whatever your ambition might be. I think sometimes we get so caught up being in front of ourselves and tripping ourselves over that we don't actually take the time to acknowledge where we sit. But I'd love to know from you, even for brands and business owners that have been in business for, years, is it too late to change a brand over or do a brand refresh? I think people are now, in the last 2 years, have been looking at, well, what am I going to do now? Because all the businesses are online that weren't online before. And there's so many more players in the game. And there's so many people, like you said, how many people are doing marketing, and you're not in your space uniquely. So is there a rule, or is it taboo to kind of go, you know what, I'm going to get back to basics, find out where I'm sitting and who I am, and going to come back and do it differently?
Yes, I think now's the perfect time. And I really have been inundated since COVID hit, because it has given people that chance to sort of take heed, especially in the first few weeks of that unknown. And because we have changed so much, and quite a lot of us have been forced to go, yeah, what is it that I want, and who am I, and what is it that I'm doing? We want to be congruent in business and life, so that we're making our mark. And I say, without a pandemic, every few years you should be looking at reviewing your brand and marketing strategy, particularly your branding. Is it now emulating where we're at, the growth or the new customers that have come in? What is it that our clients are asking us for, or our customers are asking us for? And am I communicating this effectively? And am I being consistent with that? What is working well? What's not working well? Like, release the dead wood. You've got to cut it, trim it back and cut it back in order for it to bloom. Sometimes it's hard to get rid of. Sometimes they can be key performing lines that we have as well, yet it's taking so much energy or time and really not allowing the bottom line to boom in our business. So it can be hard. Sometimes we have to remove things as well, like an arrow, sort of pull back in order to propel forward.
I think that's a great point and a valid point that you make too, about being able to have the ability to strip back things that don't serve you anymore or don't work. But I do think that business owners often struggle with that, particularly if that product or that line or that service is still making them money. So I think sometimes people get really caught up in, but if they don't love it anymore, it's not the fire in the belly, it's not serving them, it's not making them happy, but it is bringing in money. So do you have any tips or tricks around, if a business owner is listening to our conversation today, about recognizing, before they would come to see somebody like you, is there a tip or a trick you'd give them about really sitting down, I guess, with themselves and what they're doing in their business to kind of, take that first step and go, I recognize that this is actually not what I want to be doing? Or because it is hard, you take dollars off the table and people start to go, no, I don't want to do it, I'm just going to keep, I'm going to keep on the treadmill, I'm going to keep on the hamster wheel, don't take my money away. But ultimately that can be really detrimental for a business owner, because it doesn't allow them to open up for the things they really want to do.
That's right. We have to allow ourselves to try and be curious, and because curiosity fuels creativity. And that creativity helps with problem solving and bringing new things to life in business and in our life. It would depend on the business, and we would have to be strategic about it, because particularly during these times, money is money, and sometimes we need to have that from a cash flow perspective. If your business is performing particularly well and will still have that cash flow and reserve there, if you do pull that line, then you're in a really good space to be able to do it without feeling that pull of, oh gosh, what the heck am I doing? A great example is, so I've got the book here. Where is it? The Matthew McConaughey book. Is it Green Lights?
Yes.
I don't know if anyone's read that, but there is a chapter or a paragraph in there where he was known for all the, good looking schmoozy roles. And he's like, I need meat, grit. I need to really, reach and fulfill my potential in this industry. And for 2 years, he refused every single role that came our way. And I know that's not practical for us to refuse everything that comes our way, but he said no in order to say yes to something really big. And that mattered to him, and that was going to project him into the space where he wanted to be. So he felt fulfilled and he was making his mark in the world. So sometimes it might just be, having to say no to some opportunity when you've got that vision clear of where you want to be. We can't say yes to everything and to do everything. We need to put on that lens and really hone in on and focus and be strategic with what we're doing.
It's a hard word to learn in business though, isn't it? I think sometimes we really struggle with saying no, because you worry that if you say no, are you going to have regret? Is someone else going to do it? Is a competitor going to take that opportunity, and then you're going to kick yourself? But you're right. If you say yes to everything, you don't allow yourself to have the time, the brain power, the energy for anything else to come your way that actually might be something that really truly piques your interest and really truly is going to make your heart sing, and really where you're going to do so much better professionally. I would love to know, Jess, in terms of, when we look at marketing, particularly I work with product-based businesses predominantly, but I find a lot of them really struggle to navigate and get the cut through in how much personal they share within those kind of businesses. And it's not limited to product-based businesses, but I find most product-based businesses struggle more than service-based businesses on putting themselves out there, because service-based businesses obviously rely on people and face value and relationships. So they're generally, I'll say generally, more able to put themselves out there and have, their face kind of be their brand. But for some reason, product-based businesses really struggle with putting themselves out there. Is there a rule on how much you should share personally within a brand like that? Or should you not share your face? Should you just be the brand and the marketing? Because you see big box retailers you don't often know who are the owners of the really big kind of brands. So it turns little brands off, kind of putting themselves out there. But, like I said, is there any sort of rule that you've got with, and obviously it would, be very different depending on who you're working with and what kind of product, but just as a general rule, should we be out there being the face of our brands?
Well, I guess there's a few things, but first of all, yes, it is important to showcase who is behind the brand. Why? Because people want to support small business. They're buying into your story of who you are and what you've done and how you can help them, the problems that you solve. They want to know what makes you different and what makes you sort of stand out from other people that they can purchase from. And I have noticed when coaching businesses that product-based businesses seem to find it a bit trickier of what is that balance. It is completely up to you. And I think this is also removing one of those blockages of like, what's right and wrong. There is no right and wrong. It really is finding what is right for your business and your audience and being able to connect and communicate with them. So my program that I have of Make Your Mark is about getting that clarity for yourself and your business, getting connection again to yourself. So building that confidence and empowerment, which allows you to inspire others and elevates your energy, and it increases your vibration. So you really are attracting the right people to you. And then to really ignite your mark, it's all about communication. So how are you showing your branding, but how are you showing you? So when I worked for and with large ASX listed businesses, customers value and will buy from people they know, like, and trust. We hear that saying all the time. It's harder in some ways to buy from large corporates now because people are starting to think, well, who is that top dog? What is he like? What are you or her? What is she like? What are their values? And so our ability is that we can actually hone in and make our small business powerful by creating those really authentic connections with our clients and being able to speak to them more often and even one-on-one to get that feedback and really asking what is it that you want. So when it might just be once a month, because if you are feeling a bit nervous or scared of putting yourself out there, it's like, okay, say that. Be vulnerable and courageous with the conversations and say, oh, it's, I'm usually behind the camera, not in front of the camera. I'm feeling nervous about this, but you know what? I really want to connect with you guys. I'm super grateful for the love and support that you show. And I want to start asking, what is it that you want to see? What is it that you like? How can we improve? And have those conversations with them because it's pure gold. People really want to help. They do want to help you.
As such good advice is to use your audience and ask, because we don't do it enough. We don't ask what they want, what would they like to see? What do they think is next for our business or our brand? Jess, you have to answer this question for me because I am so anti-TikTok. It's not funny. I've had so many conversations with people about this and they're like, you should be on TikTok, you'd be great on TikTok. And I'm like, you'll never ever see me on TikTok. Jess, do I need to be on TikTok? Is TikTok vital for my business is what I want to know, because I see so many people in business that have taken to TikTok and I have to tell you, I lose respect when I see them acting really foolish and I think, what has that got to do with your business and your brand? I get that platform to be entertaining and that sort of thing. But I really find it cringeworthy. And please tell me I'm not alone.
You're not alone. You're not alone at all. There has to be a point and a purpose, right? And again, with the whole saying no things like Clubhouse, do I need to be on Clubhouse? Do something and do it well. Like, and even, Facebook and Instagram are usually the big ones, or LinkedIn if you're, into service-based business as well. That's plenty. That's overwhelming at times. It's really understanding, again, this is where I find a lot of people think, well, this is what I want to do. What does your audience want? What do your clients and customers want? If they're hanging out on TikTok, well, it might be worth giving it a go. But if they're not, or if they have those cringeworthy, don't even bother. It can be very worthwhile if it's right for your audience, right for your personality. But if you're having to force yourself to be silly and try and make it work, it's just an absolute waste of your time and can be really damaging to your brand.
So, public service announcement, Raw Crew, you will never ever see me on TikTok. You'll find me on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn occasionally. I'm so glad you said that, Jess, because I do feel like business owners get really caught up in all the platforms. There's so many platforms: Pinterest, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse, TikTok. Like, the list just keeps going on. And every day I feel like there's a new app that someone tells me that I need to connect to. And I'm so old school and so just like set in my comfort zone that I just say, no, I'm really just going to do Facebook and Instagram and email. How important is it to, I guess, deliver your marketing consistently via those platforms? How often should we be posting or emailing? Is there kind of a golden rule, or do you have any advice on what we should be sharing across our social media and our emails? I guess is there anything we should be not talking about or that we should be talking about that you can give us some advice about?
Yes, well, again, it's not a one size fits all approach. It's dependent on your business. And again, it's being curious and creative and allowing yourself not to be perfect with it. So you might try, okay, I'm going to post 5 times a week, or be consistent. Doesn't mean posting every single day. Consistent is having a consistent messaging, I guess, and approach to what you're doing. So have a purpose behind what you're doing. So I usually say to a lot of small businesses who are running, a lot of their marketing on their own and social media, it's like, a really good sort of rule of thumb, or what can make it easier for you to take that decision fatigue out of it, is what is an inspiring quote that will resonate with my audience. We can find them so easy. And, Canva's brilliant for mocking up good quality images for social media. So that could be 1 or 2 quotes that you want to share. You mightn't even have a caption with it. It might just literally be that, so that you're out there and you're keeping top of mind. And then it's like sharing a story. Well, this happened to me today. So for example, I can see Rachel, like all the baby or the clothing behind you. I'm working with a baby business, clothing business at the moment, and she's got her own baby, and she just shared a story of, oh my gosh, like, how hard is it when you're out and like they mess themselves and you have to change them and you're doing this and that. And she just shared a pain point, I guess, and said, well, this is why I created this product, because it's easy to get to. You don't have to pull their pants down the whole way. It's a halfway point, and just shows that authenticity and reality of, well, this is me. I'm a business owner, I'm a mum, and this is how I'm utilizing my own product too. So that's building connection. So that storytelling can come in with your social media as well. Doesn't have to be video. Video is great. I find a trick, or how to build that connection with your audience, is to share it in the moment. When you're feeling super passionate, when you're feeling fired up, don't leave it to, I'll do it tonight, or 8 o'clock's the good time to post because that's when everyone's on social media and I'll get the most reach. No, what I've found, and I'm not a social media expert, I've done digital roles and specialist roles globally 10 years ago, but do not consider myself to be a digital specialist expert. But what I found for me, when I've got that fire in my belly and I say it like it is and I put it out there might be some typos even, which I don't like, but it's so passionate and from the heart that it just connects with them and it goes off. If I try and do that once I've got the kids in bed, everything's done, I've just lost it that bit. It doesn't seem to have that same grunt or impact. So yes, I found if it's come to you, just try and get it out there no matter what time of day or night.
Golden advice. Don't wait for perfect. I love it, because you're right. You lack that energy and that spontaneity, and that's what people, I guess, are drawn to. I personally cannot get enough of behind the scenes. So I stalk all my favorite businesses, and I love when they show me where they're working, what they're doing, all the little things. I don't even mind if I have to see what they're eating for lunch, although it's not my kind of forte in sharing what I eat for lunch. But I love the behind the scenes, and you're right. I think if I think about businesses and brands and people that I love and follow, it's the story. I want to know more. And I love, actually, it's interesting. I was only having this conversation with a girlfriend the other day about the pop group Hanson. And back when I was 15, we were so obsessed.
Hanson.
I know. Hello, another Hanson fan. But I cannot tell you how back when I was 15, we were so curious about what they were doing. It was never enough. I couldn't get enough of watching, the MTV or the music shows to see what they were doing, reading all the magazines. And social media has really opened us up now, where we can access, celebrities even on a really feels so personal kind of level. You sort of, you're watching Britney Spears dance around in her house most days on her Instagram now. So it becomes this opportunity, I guess, to kind of put yourself out there, and then, and get the feedback back. And I shared today, Jess, I had a troll on my Raw page today who wanted to set up a fake account and leave a bad review. And for me, I've been in business long enough where I just go, you know what? Thanks, Jack. It's great that you feel that way, but it's not going to shake anything that we do. And it actually makes me want to go even bigger and harder. But how do you deal with that when you decide, that I'm going to be always wearing pink and I'm going to be this, or this is going to be my branding. And then people shoot you down. It's really hard to take that. And you're very, very well versed in self-care and that mindset sort of stuff. I'd love to know any advice you have around that, because I think sometimes that's the biggest thing that people self-doubt. They think, okay, I'm ready to do it. I'm feeling spontaneous and I'm about to push, send. And then they stop because they worry about what people are going to think or write or say.
We've got such a fear of judgment and saying something wrong. It's natural and it's normal. This is why, I've got a book coming out at the start of January, which is based on Make Your Mark. It's become so big that it's now a 3-book series. But this is where I kept finding with women in particular, we need to get back to that, building that foundation of a strong sense of identity. So I've got there, like, what I go through is the sense of self-worth, vision. I'm just reading it here off my screen. Finding out our unique gifts and offerings, which is what sets us apart and fuels our confidence as well. What are our fears? So like you say, it's putting them out there and going, well, what's the worst that can happen? Is someone really going to die if I do this live video? Or if Jack goes, oh, you're an idiot, Dee or Jess, it's like, I'm not going to die. No one's going to die. It's just getting that perspective back in and trying to make it light. So realizing what our limiting beliefs are, and imposter syndrome. We can be our own worst enemy as well. It's like, well, who am I to do this? Who am I to say this? Is anyone going to listen? Is it worthwhile, me even saying this? And then the comparisonitis that comes in when you're looking at what other people doing, and all you're doing is getting a sore neck if you keep turning your head. It is not worth it. Like, just keep running your own race, because if you go back to that why, generally you are doing it for you. and we're of service to others. We're here to help others. And that's what I sort of say to myself to get over myself. It's actually not about me. Try and remove yourself from it and go, no, I'm of service. I help people and I do it with integrity and with all my heart. So I'm doing my best. I'm trying my best. And that is all I can do. Thank you, Jack. Have a good day. Go away.
Thank you, Jack.
Knowing your values too, your values, your core values, using your intuition, always maintaining your integrity. And when we pull all of that together, those 11 elements, it gives us that congruence. So congruence personally, which then comes through professionally.
Well, lucky for me, Jack hasn't said the worst to me. So, I agree with you. I think you have to get out of your own way and build your own resilience, but it is hard. And I often see it with people who have such an amazing story to share, but always get in their own head and stop. They don't push pause. They don't enter that award. They don't, go to that event. They just second guess themselves. So I love that advice about being just authentically you and just doing it anyway. Just do it because, leave your own legacy, carve your own pathway and do it just because someone else will do it anyway. My husband has a great saying, just while you were talking, all I could hear was his voice in my head. He says, are you a sheep or a shark? If you're a sheep, you're always looking back, but a shark can never look back because it doesn't have a neck. So be like a shark and always just look forward. Don't worry about what's behind you because it's behind you. Just be the shark. So when you were talking about that comparisonitis and comparing yourself, I think we're all guilty of it. You always just want to have a look what they're doing. How have they got so many followers? And it is hard, when business owners start out, you don't have thousands of people, you don't have thousands of views and thousands of likes and thousands of comments. And it is hard to put something out there and have crickets. And you think, and most people won't do it again. They go, oh, it's not. But you touched on a good point before with consistency. And I love that. And you are so consistent in your own marketing and brand that you're so consistent that I know when a Jessica Ritchie post pops up because it's in your branding, it's your language, it's your style. And I'm tapping the heart because I think, yes, like it's a great post. And I think when you said it before about just keeping that, do a quote. I love a good quote at Raw. You'll see them pop up all the time, and I sometimes put a little bit of, banter around what that quote means to me and why I posted it, but yes. You don't have to. You mentioned Canva earlier. I'd love to know, do you have any other great tools that you use in your business to keep yourself organized? Do you have favorites that you could share?
Well, Canva is definitely one. I think it's a very affordable, cost-effective platform for small businesses that can allow consistency, and it's just growing exponentially. There's so many things we can now do on Canva. I use Canva. I'm actually setting up Kajabi at the moment, so I'm going down that rabbit hole of looking into new CRMs. But I think it's all about online platforms, but it's all about just keeping it simple and doing your research of what works for your business as well, because there are so many platforms out there. You need to find what works for you and what's affordable for your business right now. So what I found is some businesses are like, oh, I want all of these bells and whistles. Yet if you look at their strategic plan, they probably won't grow into that for another 2 years. And it's like, why pay $150 a month for all of that when really just right now, you just need this. So it's, I can get distracted with shiny things, that bright shiny syndrome, but it's just going, well, what is it that I need now, and is that going to fit my business and allow for some growth? But don't bite off more than you can chew and pay for things that aren't necessary. I absolutely love Loom. Do you guys use Loom? So Loom is a great platform to do personalized videos that you can send. So you literally hop on, say what you need to say, and it records it, and you send a link to your client or customer. or you might use it as part of your onboarding or introductions to your program, so that you're not having to do it several times. It's like that, create once, leverage often. So it might be, hi Dee, thank you so much for joining the program. I'm so excited. What we're going to do next is this, this, and that. So, because when you're scaling and growing, you don't always have time to, hop on the phone or do it all at a time that suits both of you mutually. It's like, well, Dee can have a look at that video and that welcome at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock tonight when it suits her. And generally they connect with you more, because you're not sort of, they're relaxed and it's like, oh, okay, I'm doing this while, I'm open to it and have the time. So Loom is awesome. I use it all the time.
I actually had somebody send me an email that used Loom as an introduction to their services. And I have to tell you, it made me think, oh, I actually think I like you, because it was personalized. It was video. I could see them. And yes, it was, this similar style of targeting me as somebody potentially that they, could service, do services for. But it was really different because it was a video and they said my name and I was like, oh, hang on, you've there was a little bit of personalization, which made me think, if I was going to spend my money now doing X service, you'd be who I go to first.
That's right. And it doesn't cost any money. Well, I've never paid anything for it anyway. Just the free tier that I'm on with Loom works very effectively. And what it does too, we all got different communication styles. So if you're not one to sort of sit and write out these emails and go, oh, is that eloquent? Am I hitting the mark? Like, it's nice to have that too, to have, the content or copy there as well to follow up with the link itself or the video, ideally both. But if that's not how you operate, or if that's not a strength, it might be a way for you to really engage them and connect with them, so they can go, oh, this is Mary and she's a cracker and I just love her videos. And then they get used to just firing them back to you as well.
And it probably takes you less time, right? Because you think about how much time you put into an email and copying, checking the spelling, making sure it reads well, editing, and you could send a video in 2 minutes flat, really sharp, short, sweet, to the point, and you could do, yeah. So I think those sort of things are things that people don't do, again, because they go, oh, I might have a pimple, I look wrinkly, I look old, my hair's a mess, my roots aren't done, I'm not feeling fly today, but nobody really cares, right? So you can get on. Yeah, I can see Donna touching the top of her head, but I think you look fly, Donna. I didn't even notice. So I think people almost, I think, push back on polished and perfect most of the time anyway, because I think sometimes if someone looks too glamazon and too stitched up, you wonder why. You're like, why are you trying to hard sell me? I think when you're a little bit more down to earth and a bit more personable, they're the kind of people that I relate to more, because I think, all right, you're real. I can relate to you. I haven't done my roots either, or I haven't waxed my eyebrows in, 5 years, it feels like, or whatever it might be. So I love that tip about Loom, because I think even for myself, that's something, that you can implement really easily into business, and just creates that more personality within the brand. So yeah, that's awesome. Jess, I also wanted to pick your brain about, how you've navigated the last couple of years, particularly with COVID and, changes. You were always very, prominent at events. You were always very, hands-on and I guess visible in the physical sense. How are you kind of navigating the changes that you're seeing and keeping your business kind of going? How have you been coping?
I miss it. I miss events. I miss being on stage. I miss that belly to belly contact with people and having laughs. And I miss flying, to be with clients interstate. But what the past few years has taught me is that communication is key. And a lot of my clients they become friends, because you just get to know each other so personally. The kids are coming in screaming, crying, sick, whatever, or they're having to care for their parents. Like, you're just getting such an insight into their world. And I have found that to be an absolute privilege. To be completely honest with you too, a lot of people work with me because of my story. Briefly, like just having been a carer for so many years to many of my family, to my best friend who had ovarian cancer, to my brother who was paralyzed on Easter Sunday in a car accident, and losing everything in the 2011 floods. And a lot of other, never thought I'd be able to have children, having an autoimmune condition, like all of these things that really make you who you are, and kind of go, well, yeah, what is it that I want to do, and who do I want to be, and who do I want to help? But like the catalyst for change for me was, I was incorrectly told on national news my husband had been shot and killed in the line of duty as a police officer here back in 2017. So for me, it's when it comes to these unprecedented times of change, it's harnessing that resilience, I guess, that's within all of us, knowing what we've been through in the past, those experiences, and going, I can do this. This is going to make me a better person. How can I utilize this to help serve myself first and foremost? It's like, if you're not wearing your oxygen mask, you cannot assist others to the best of your ability or what their requirements are, so that I can assist as many people as possible during these times, because we're humans. We're absolutely human beings who are trying to be human doings everything. So what the pandemic has taught me is, yes, I'm not getting that energy and connection in person with people, but it's allowed for this opening up of realness and rawness that helps us to just bond and go, right, how can we do this together? So I feel like I thought I had a support crew, and I did have a support crew prior to that. But I think when you start sharing your battle scars and your wounds and your challenges collectively, that's just been a gift and a privilege for me and my business the last few years.
You are a great example of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You're an absolute powerhouse, Jess. I love that you're so honest and authentic in your story, where you've come from, that things haven't been perfect. There's been times where you didn't want to get out of bed. I can imagine, I can't imagine, but the mountains you have to scale, all while trying to build a business. They're often not the stories that people hear. People see the social media, they see the facade, they see the person they think you are, and they don't actually really understand that you're climbing Mount Everest 15 times a month just to get over, just to, claw your way up there with not much left in the tank, only to slide down on your backside and look up at another mountain. I think quite often, I think that's a testament to your success and why you are so well received with your clients, and that authenticity. That's not always something you can just put out there though and go, hey, this is my story, here I am, these are all the things. It's something that you have built within your trust and your friendships with your clients over the years. I think, like I said, I think you're a total rock star when it comes to the way you navigate your life and your business, and totally inspiring, because I think for anyone listening to this that's having a bad day, having a bad week, having a bad month, or having a bad decade, you're kind of shining example of you can still do it. You don't have to run like a bull out of a gate. You can take it slow, build it, and do it within your own kind of time and your own kind of ability as well. And I have to say, I think from your perspective, how with the last 2 years, particularly with people struggling in that self-care space, do you have anything that you do as a routine or something that you might implement within your day-to-day that helps with that self-care? Because I'm so guilty of not doing it often enough. I take care of everyone else before I take care of me. And I'm always telling people, you need to take a break. You need to go and do this. Go take a breather, take a day off. But I don't. I'm like, I don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time this week for anything other than work. But do you have any kind of routine or tips that you have found that really help with your, getting through those, I guess, the days that are harder to get through?
Yeah, absolutely. I find Like sleep's imperative, and then sometimes we just don't get it. It depends what stage we're in, and sometimes you just got to get shit done. And so you're up. I've done 48 hours straight before working on my business, and I know that's not good, but it did have to be done. But on the flip side of that, it's, yes, sleep. If you can try and go to sleep at a similar time each night and wake up at the same similar time each morning, you get into that cadence, and it's nourishing your body and fueling your body. I think we totally underestimate the power of sleep and the regenerative effects that it has, the healing effects that our body does with sleep, and that rest. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I try and just lie there and just kind of breathe for a few seconds before just jumping up and straight into the day. I have like a bit of a ritual table, like my bedside table's got my special crystals or affirmation cards or whatever it is that I'm trying to harness and pull in. And I just stand there and I smile. Even if I don't feel like smiling, I literally just stretch, shake, and then smile and say, today is going to be a great day. So my kids always wake up and they're like, today's going to be a great day, Mum. And then we put on some pump songs, usually in the car, like on the way to school or to work, because music is so elevating and energizing. And I talk about having a personal power anthem. So what's your personal power anthem that speaks to your soul and gets you pumped? And also it is trying to have meal break, like you actually have your lunch break and eat properly, trying not to eat at your computer. If you're working from home, go outside, take your shoes off and ground, literally put your feet to the earth, get a little bit of sunlight. It just makes such a world of difference. And the basics as well of keeping hydrated, like our brain's 70% of water or something. It's like you need to be hydrated in order to think and perform. And then just taking time out for you. So I say to my clients, I would not get on like stand you up today, Dee, even though Billy was sick and all these other things are happening. It was in my diary. I'm committed. If you put something in your diary to say, Donna, 5 minutes outside to rest, relax, and breathe, commit to it as if it was, an important meeting or an event, because that creates consistency, and you have to keep doing it in order to really feel the results and to get the benefit. Otherwise, it all falls over. We are our business. And that's what I was going to touch on before when you said people afraid of putting themselves out there. If we do have a traditional business front, we are personal brands, whether we like it or not. So gently, if that kind of scares you, just gently feel into it. And to be a personal brand, and a good one, you need to have self-care.
Amen to that. And I have definitely, all those things you just said, they seem so simple, right? But you can see people even on this call going, yeah, I'm guilty of that, or yes, and making notes, because they are simple, but we just don't do them enough. Like, it, for whatever reason, we make every excuse, and I am guilty of it this week. I've been sitting at my computer eating my lunch, but I have been taking off my shoes and going outside and playing with my chickens, and my puppy. So I have made the time to break, but I have been guilty of the lunchtime scramble. But you're right, it's all those really simple things, and nobody's going to get it perfect. You're not going to have, changing a habit, it takes time, it takes implementing something. I've been setting my phone alarm, so I get to a certain time at night time, and as soon as that alarm goes off, I'm not allowed to touch a device for work again. So I can get on and have a conversation with a girlfriend, I can FaceTime family, but I'm not allowed to work. So I've literally stopped, and it's hard. And when I first started this, I was like, oh no, but what if someone needs me at 9:30 at night? But I give that time now to family and friends, and I'm finding I'm so much more fulfilled personally. And I find that fires me up then to get up the next day, and I'll answer your, question or your query really quickly, but I've just put that in place as this is me, this is my time. I have to value those relationships outside of business and outside of work, because everyone wants you, and people expect you now to be able to, answer an Instagram within 5 seconds. Yes. But it's so important, isn't it, to put the boundary in place and go, no,
all about
Can't
that.
have me at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so hyper connected. People do expect a response immediately. So it's like, oh, I emailed you at 5:30 p.m., didn't receive a message, so I'll messenger you at 10 p.m. tonight, thinking I'll get a message. And that gives me such an insight into who they are and their expectations as well. And I kind of go, I don't know if this person will be the right fit for me. Because you need to create those boundaries in your business to really look after yourself and to show and lead others that you're working with to do it as well, to help them.
And I think you're right. I think, people understand. I mean, God, how many people are working 24 hours, 7 days a week? And those people, we interviewed Tracy Horton the other day. She said she's the same. If she has someone that messages her at 11:30 and says, I want to work with you and I'm doing so well. And she's like, no, you're not. There's no one doing well that's on their computer at 11:30 at night trying to convince me that your business is amazing. You're in crisis and you need help and you have no lifestyle balance. So I think it is very hard, particularly in businesses that are trying to navigate, different ways of doing things. And even in the startup phase where you feel like you wear all the hats, you feel like you have to be everybody to kind of navigate that balance. But it is so important to really try and be mindful of it. So I love some of those tips that you do. And I'm definitely a big believer in music as well. Music always cranking in this household. It's such a mood boost. So if you are feeling like you've listened, you might not feel it now, but if you feel, tomorrow when you wake up that you're in a funk and you feel, a bit, I've got this looming or whatnot, pump your favorite music. We love Megan Trainor in this household. There's nothing that'll get us bopping more than a bit of Megan Trainor first thing in the morning. So Jess, I wanted to say thank you again so much for stepping up this year and being part of our judging panel. I truly appreciate that the judges give up their time. You were so great in, really working through the applications and really giving great feedback to our top 3 in the categories that you judged. I'd love any advice that you might have for people that are watching. We've obviously had our entrants come through this year, and then we got it down to finalists. Now those finalists on Saturday night, we'll find out whether or not, they take home a trophy. There's always that pang though, if you don't make top 3, that you think, oh God, it's that, all of the things we've just talked about, the imposter syndrome, the jealousy, the I'm not good enough, the why not me, the why her or why him or why them. Is there any advice that you have around, around being able to navigate that and being able to just keep going and taking kind of the experience? Because as a judge, you would have seen how high caliber the entries were this year and how fierce it was. And we had some serious deliberations go on behind the scenes about how to get it down to 3. We had one category that had it down to 18 at one stage. And I was like, no, it has to be 3 people. Not everyone can get a trophy. So I think from a judge's perspective, just to, I guess, really kind of show the entrants this year that it's, it is just your opinion, your professional opinion.
Yes.
And we pop you in that space because, we give you a category that you understand in how to judge. But I just love any of your feedback for those listening. You don't have to say what categories you judge because we'll have you up on the website. Keep it all secret, squirrel. But yeah, because I think people would like to know from a judge's perspective as well. So
it's for sure. I think keep in mind first and foremost that it is opinion only. And I do that with myself too, with awards. It's like that really is just someone's opinion or belief. And sometimes it is potluck with who the judge is and how you resonate with them. For me though, I have a very strong eye for detail. So I do look for that you've taken, it doesn't have to be a beautifully designed application for me or elements or cleverness. It needs to be practical, yet something that does stand out. And whether that is your personality or wit coming through, but take pride in it. Don't just make it look like you have shoved it together last minute with typos everywhere. That personally really puts me off. Really take pride in it and allow yourself to shine through. I can sort of see where some people have outsourced it and had people write it for them. That can work too, but I'm looking for you. What is it that you do? What makes you shine? And how do you help your people? How do you solve their problems? And what makes you different? And what are the challenges? What makes you real? That's what I'm big on connection. So I look for that. And also respond to what the question has asked for. So be on point. Don't write what you want to write. It's like, well, this is the question and I'm actually going to answer it with how I've been directed to. Yes, that's probably a big one. And sometimes, people focus on being too clever or utilizing that technology, yet not hitting the mark. So don't try and do something that's not, I guess, congruent with who you are. Like, don't try and be too clever if that's not what you're all about. Just be authentically you.
Yeah, great advice. And you definitely had your work cut out for you as a judge this year. So like I said, we appreciate I appreciate every hair pull moment and email. Like, what do you expect from me, Dee? You need blood? Like, I can't do this. It's too hard. Give it to someone else. But you were great. You were so onto it. And I can't wait to reveal our winners. But I would love, Jess, what have you got coming up that people can, be part of? I'd love for you to give a little plug because, like I said, you might just have some people that are watching this that think, you know what, I actually am ready. I need to speak with somebody that can help me with my branding and my message and my personal brand. How can we connect with you? What have you got to offer us? I'd love for you to give yourself a plug.
Oh, sure. So what I'm known for and what a lot of my, I guess, awards have been with, they're approved and recommended by the Queensland government, is my Make Your Mark program. So that is where we work together to get more clarity in your business and life if required, establishing that connection to yourself to power you forward, to step into your personal power, and to connect with your clients. And then it's that communication branding piece. Well, how am I doing it? How do I look? Even from, your presence and essence, how am I showing up? And what is my communication like across social media? A review on all your marketing collaterals, and also creating your business story. A lot of people find it hard to talk about themselves and to create that business story. So I really love, and it's such a privilege to work with people that I've got a 9-step matrix that I step through that sort of leaves no doubt in your clients or customers' mind why they should be working with you or purchasing your product. So that, in a nutshell, is my Make Your Mark program that I love to offer people. And then, as I mentioned earlier, at the start of January, fingers crossed, I have my book coming out called Make Your Mark. And so that's how particularly women in business can get more clarity and hone their vision in their business, career, and life. The second book, which is Spark Your Mark, which is all about the connection and energy piece, but 3 chapters to go. So hopefully that's not too far behind. But the program it's all about making your mark, and then it's getting that fire happening of sparking your mark, and then it's adding that fuel to the fire to ignite it and to really get your visibility and presence out there so that you're stepping up, you're being seen, and you're being heard.
I'm so excited about your book, Jess. I think that's going to be awesome. And I'm already excited about the 2 titles. Can't wait to see them as a trilogy. I think what you offer is such golden advice and seems simple in layman's terms, but is actually really actionable. And once you implement it into your brand and into your marketing and creating that personal brand and the congruity with all of it, it's so important, and it can really take your business from here to here because you get that real opportunity to connect and share your story and be really like out there. Husband sneezing in the background, hay fever, poor thing. Not really. But I would love, has anyone got a question for Jess while I have her on? You're more than welcome to jump on, even if you just want to say hi and thanks. Anyone want to jump on?
Yeah, I'll say hi. Thank you so much for that, Jess. That was great. I guess my question, when would a business undertake your services in terms of how they're doing, what sort of size the
Yeah.
business is? We've been with two different marketing sort of agencies. I know you do a lot of other stuff, but we undertook them when we just weren't big enough. We weren't making enough money. We outlaid so much cash and they took us on where they shouldn't have taken us on. Like it was like 15K like over a period of time that just they shouldn't have taken us on. They should have said no. We
Yeah.
were too small. Like what's a good, I guess,
Yeah.
milestone or marker of a smaller business to undertake a service like yours? Does that make
Mate,
sense?
I love working with people from startup who have that bit of budget, who are like, I want to do this properly from the start.
Yeah.
Because, and to be totally clear, like my services generally start at 5.5K. That gets you the whole bronze make your mark package, which is the foundational piece to your business. And then I can do ad hoc one-on-one coaching and strategy sessions as well. But that just, for me, it's from startup, like getting clarity around, is this viable? Is this what I want to do? What is it all about? To going, yes, I am starting up this business. Okay, I'll do the whole package. Through to generally businesses that are under the 750 to 500K mark turnover. So a lot of people either starting out and want best bang for their buck and get their foundation right, or they've reached this plateau and growth and they're like, what the heck can I do next? Like, what am I not seeing? How can I get unstuck? How can I put myself out there and be different to get to the next level in my business?
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was a great question too, Tiff, because I think so many people do that. They go and look for, they Google marketing team or branding expert, and they kind of go down this rabbit hole. They throw all this money at this thing. And my advice about that too would be really understand from the beginning whether that team feel like they get you where you are now, because there's so many opportunities when people look back after they've paid the money, after they've gone down the rabbit hole, where they go, they might have taken us on, but you took them on, and there might have been an opportunity where you went, this doesn't feel like they get us and they get our brand. Maybe this is too big for us, too quick, too soon. So I think whenever you're looking at investing in something, look at what you expect out of it at the end of it as well, because obviously parting with money is such a thing for people that, oh my God, I'm going to give just 5.5 grand. It's everything I've got, or I've got to borrow it to, to give it to her. But I think understand what the expectation is and whether that feels right. If Jess says, I can work with a startup, I understand, the foundation of stuff. If that resonates with you and you think, yeah, we need to go back to that foundation, we need to go back to basics and really set ourselves up properly, then she's probably the right person. If you get someone that's, one size fits all, cookie cutter, we'll just sell you a branding or marketing package, and it's never going to work. There'll always be that kind of, and for you, I say it all the time, Tiff, lesson learn, right? We all have them. I've got them chalked up as well. Like, you learn those lessons and they hurt because they're lots of money and you think, oh God, like they shouldn't have, done it. But that was a great question, because I think, lots of people think, can I start now? Should I have started last week? Do I start next year? Do I, when's a good time? So,
and I do find like I'll ebb and flow with my clients. So we'll do the program and then we might do a few coaching calls. And then it's like, okay, I can run now on my own. Like, I don't want clients to be reliant on me. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job. And then they sort of get that vision of or the strategy, and they're like, okay, 2 years later or 12 months later, just want to check in again and just see, I've got this and that, and this is where I want to go. So I'll do a little bit more. I do have people who like their monthly or weekly, depending on where they're at. But it's, for me, I'm doing my job right if I'm not hand holding you each and every month and year after year.
Yeah, you should be like the little ducks. Off you go now. It's time to, all the baby birds. The mum's kicking them out of the nest. It's time to fly. I'm giving you everything I can.
Fun. That's right. But yeah, it is, as a coach, it is your role to be able to empower them to go out and have that confidence to make their own decisions, and feel empowered with what they're doing.
Absolutely. Jess, I'd love to ask you, what's your favorite book or person to listen to? I'm not a podcast person. We've had this conversation before. I love a book. I'm that old school. I like the smell of them, the feel of them. But everyone likes audio podcasts. Who are your favorites? Who are some of the people you're reading or listening to?
Oh gosh, I've got all up here is just books. I'm looking at them now. So I think you can't go past Brene Brown with her Daring Greatly, How to Live, Love, Parent and Lead. I remember thinking with that title, how the heck does someone roll all of those 4 big pillars, into one book and nail it? Absolutely think it's pure gold, that book, and anything that she writes. Book Yourself Solid by Michael Port is fantastic. That can help with business growth. It's like having having a business coach or expert in a book with him. One that I am halfway through and might resonate with some of you is Sensitive is the New Strong. And that's by Anita Moorjani, I think how you pronounce her name. And that talks about just empathy and being sort of a real empathetic, sensitive soul. And I'm loving that because that helps you to just build that resilience and care for yourself and to sort of let things go. Like if you take things quite personally, it helps to just let it go, release. There's so many. I'm looking at them all still.
I love those because I think as an empath, we've spoken about this. It's so hard sometimes in business to be an empath, and it's all those things: saying no, reading the signs, seeing the the red flags, and trying not to be everything for everyone. When you're an empath in business, that's the biggest trick. You got to learn how to kind of distance yourself and kind of learn. So that sounds like a great book because I know we've got some empaths in our group, and on a few of the sessions that's come up as one of the topics, so that sounds like a great one. I love Brene Brown. I think, like you said, she's just so natural in her approach and her delivery. And I have been, I do watch lots of her presentations and things online, even if it's just in the background. She's just got that. She's like the wise woman, isn't she? She's like your auntie that's just got all the right things to say.
Such a wise woman. The other book that I love, and I think it's quite pertinent to say because he passed away yesterday, is Eddie Jacku, The Happiest Man on Earth. And his book, if I'm feeling down and out and things are getting a bit tough, I just read parts of Eddie's book. He's so personable. He calls you or refers to you as my friend. You just want to hug him and kiss him and just be part of his life. His story of surviving World War II and being on, a death march in 1945, managed to escape. He talks about the power of connection with a friend that got him through in order to survive. He was able to be with his wife. They were married for 75 years. It's just incredible. And just, again, about perspective and going, you know what? Yes, things are tough right now, but if Eddie could get through that, I can get through this.
Channel your inner Eddie. I love that his story must have been so well put together because you remember it. And that, I think, is such a great key, that when you tell your story, it's what other people remember about you and what people say about you when you're not in the room. When you leave the room, what's left? What do people remember about you? Jess, thank you so much again for your time. Does anyone else have a question for Jess while I have her on? No, you're all very quiet. All right, well, I'm going to end the session here. I'll keep the chat running if you do want to jump on. I'm sure Jess might give you a little bit more time, but she does have a little sick one today. Jess, thank you so much again for your time. I'm so proud and pumped and just stoked that you're part of our crew, and can't wait to see everything that you're bringing out and doing. Can't wait for your book launch. God, please let me be at that book launch and be able to travel, because I'll be there. I appreciate your time again today, and cannot wait for hopefully next year when we can all be in person at the Raw Awards. very, very inspired by everything that you do, and highly recommend that if anyone's watching this on the replay or has been in the session, reach out to Jess. She's so easy to talk to. You know, you might be able to book just a session to have a discussion about how Jess might be able to help you. But if you are feeling like, you know, you're ready to look at your branding and your personal brand in that marketing space, you know, Jess is the real deal. So I appreciate everything that you've given us today, Jess. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for having me, and absolutely reach out. More than happy to jump on a quick Zoom call, see where you're at, see where, if I can help, or just say hi, build that connection, build that friendship. I'd love it.
Absolutely. And on that note, I'm going to leave this session, but we've got some more sessions, and Saturday night, we've got the 2021 Raw Awards where you will be revealed as the winners. And yes, if I can help with anything, please leave your questions. If you watch the replay, drop replay. I'm going to add Jess into our group so you can connect. Jess, on that, where is the best place for people to connect with you? Because you don't want 250 people smashing you on Facebook Messenger. What's the best way to get in touch?
Through Facebook, so at Jessica Ritchie, or Instagram, or preferably just through my website, through the contact page, so that it comes direct to my email and I can action it a bit quicker.
I will pop all of those details on with this session. Thanks again, Jess. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great afternoon. Bye.
Bye.